most recent and easily one of the most hated maps in the pool, and not a lot of players are comfortable on it, especially in pucks, and they refuse to spend some time on it to figure things out. Today I'm joined by Swedish IGL from Heroic. LNZ will guide us through the map, show concepts and essential utility that will allow you to farm elo from those who are not subscribed to this channel. If you're still one of them, now is perfect time to fix this mistake. Now enjoy this Overpass masterclass. Alright, so we are here loaded up on Overpass, the newest map to the addition of map pool in competitive Counter-Strike, and we are here with Linus from Heroic, the IGL, and he will guide us a little bit through the masterclass of this map. So let's listen to Linus.
Hello guys, LNZ here from Heroic, and yeah, let's talk some Overpass.
All right, so since this is new and a lot of players still don't understand the map, maybe to the meta that pro players do, can you guide us a little bit why this map is so hard to play on T side, and maybe what parts of the map you redeem are like the most important and you are talking about the most in your team?
Yeah, so I think like Overpass, why I think it's so like CT sided is because the map it's really big and there's a lot of like open angles, but there's also a lot of like corners and walls you can play behind. So like when you wanna like take map control on A, you have to use a lot of nades or you have to take a lot of risks. So I mean the CTs can basically do whatever they want and like punish the Ts if they have the correct reads, of course. And I would say like the most important like part of the map is probably con. Obviously like every part is important, but I think if you're not good at taking con in different ways and you get punished here a lot, it's gonna make the A control worse and it's also gonna make the B control worse. So I think like the most important thing is like being really good at taking con and being dynamic with it as well. So it will eventually give you like the short control and the mid control as well here.
Is there some proven techniques that you are doing? You said that for the map control to take on Overpass, you gotta use a lot of nades. So is that why it's so difficult? You gotta invest a lot of money into utility, and then since the map is so huge, it's kind of pointless to, let's say, buy a lot of, I don't know, Tech 9s and Deagles, because you really need those long-range weapons and firepower to push through certain parts of the map.
Like you said, like the nades are really important, and obviously like if you're gonna have like a force with Tech 9s, it's kind of rough to just walk out mid with them because you will always face a bit of longer duels. So when you play like these buy rounds, I think it's really important that you like you obviously have a lot of nades, but then you also need to know how to throw them. And I think the most important ones are like the short molo, which I think you should be doing every single round. One important utility can also be that you do the insta con smoke, and I basically just go here and aim here. And it will allow for a bit of like a faster controlling con, and it will obviously like cover the door for the CT, so they don't really know how you're playing con. Like the best ways to take con is probably either that you do just a double molo, where you go like 2 people con, and before the first one fades you can also just throw up a second one. Or you could also just like skip the smoke sometimes and just run and ask for a flash from a teammate from here. So that you can just basically also take it faster but only use 1 molo. And I think that's probably what I see the most of the pro teams, like how they take on.
One of the most favorite counter to this probably would be to, you know, be annoying as CT and spam from short through the wood. Is there any specific ways how you like to counter it or how to play around that? Because a lot of players don't seem to know and understand how to dodge it, when to dodge it, and they get free damage a lot of times. But there are certainly ways where you can make it easier for yourself.
Yeah, I think like if your problem is that you're getting spammed a lot, I think you need to look at how the pathing is in con. Like if you're running like this, you're obviously quite open to the spam, but if you're fast in con and you like go along this wall, I think you're only taking like 1 damage by the spam, because you're getting shot through first this and then this. So that's like one way to avoid it. You could also like have that you let's see if I hit this molo, but I think it is like this, where you can basically molo the boosts. It was wrong. But
I've seen Hunter yesterday. G2 were using it a lot, I think, from a different corner. But yeah, I've seen that molly and I was like, damn, that is really, really annoying.
Yeah, and like me as a CT rotation player, if I play against this, like I obviously can't really jump because the Molo is gonna touch me, and I can also not spam. So this is Molo is definitely like something to learn. And it could also be as simple as you have a guy with you in con just sitting and spamming this stack, because AK will usually do a lot of more damage, and you can kind of like move around and spam.
Right. Okay, so once you have con control established, what are your options? Obviously, this kind of forks out into two ways, either towards short or towards A side. So let's start with short, for example. When you do have short, why is it important to have it as a T side? What can you do with it? And why is it, useful to fight for this part of the map?
Yeah, so I'd say like it's really important, because if cities know that you can't be short, they can basically only focus about monster, and that is like the basic principle of it. And if you make sure that you can always be able to pop monster or pop short in the eyes of the cities, you basically want to fight for it, so they also can't go out short, because if they're also out short and are staying here, they will also know it's A. Because if you have short as CT, the only place they can go is monster, and going monster without short info as a T is not really that nice. So it's for like many reasons, but it's mostly about the info part, that you want to always make sure that on either side you want to know about short, like whether they can be here or not. Obviously, like if you also have short a lot, it's not really nice for the CTs to like re-aggro mid round as well, if they know you can always be holding from like this angle or also like this angle.
Yeah. And it's also one important thing is that you hear the rotations, right? You are easier counting the defense of the CTs because they rotate, let's say, in CT and they run, they make steps, and it's better for you to make a call whether you should end B or A.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's something that's probably in tier 1 people are better at, like not masking, but people are better at not stepping when they can be here. But for sure, like people will still do these mistakes where maybe they're not thinking about it, and like you said, you can abuse it and maybe go back to short and do a short pop at this point.
What about some B finishers? When we are here at the short, let's touch upon that. If you want to end B, is there something particular you like to call? And I obviously don't mean a strategy that you're gonna whip out right now that you're using in heroic. But let's say you have a scarce utility. You have just a molly and a smoke and a couple flashes. Do you have a particular way you'd like to finish B side from short through monster together with your teammates? Let's say you're 4 here and you're attacking this B.
Yeah, in general, I've done it in many ways in my teams, that you have had like set endings with set utility, but you could also see it from the other angle, where you can also just know the utility and like adapt on the fly, which is obviously more for like the pro players to do. But if you want to keep it simple, like the utility that is good to know is like the heaven smoke and like these flashes, and we call them just wood flashes. And this is obviously good, like if you want to pop short mid run, so you could have one guy throwing this full combo, and then you could basically just like run from here and pop monster, or pop short, sorry, and basically abuse that people are gonna look into your flash, because also if people are playing a monster setup, it's also gonna be able to like get blind by this, because people obviously like start looking at short. But I'd say the most important thing in whatever B finish is probably the heaven smoke, so that the rotation cannot just run and hold you, because then all of a sudden you will probably play maybe 4B at one point if you're slow enough. But if you go from monster, I think you can instead do like the smoke from here, and I basically just like line up here and aim in the, how do you say, like in the middle of this, but on the left side, and release here. You can choose whether you want to have like flashes from here and aim here, which I just do normal jump throw on. This you can do like if you think they're playing close monster, so it will pop here and they have no chance to react. In some cases as well, like if people are playing ready to peek, they will get blinded as well by this. In some cases, you maybe also want to pop from close, so it could be good to know this flash, which you basically just go like in here and you aim here, and you basically just pop like from the wood. And this you can do if you know right side is clear, and just like scale from here. And it basically like takes everything that is looking towards monster.
Yeah, I've seen some people pair it up with a pillar flash to basically use that one as an entry and then scale up to side with a flash that is a little bit deeper behind the pillar. And yeah, that is pretty much the CS:GO utility set that you were throwing for years and years at this point.
Exactly. And I think also the more nades you have, the more you can also fill as a player. If you have another guy throwing the combo I just showed, you can, for example, pair it up with like a barrel smolo. And like for this lineup, I just go in here and I run like this. So this could also be like a way to just use the nades you have. There's also ways you can do it where like if you don't have the smoke on monster, but you have a guy in short who has the smoke, he can also just do the smoke and come from short, and then you fill all of the rest of the nades from here. And that's why I think if you can learn to do it like on the fly by just knowing the utility and filling, I think that's the best in my opinion. But obviously it's very hard for not so experienced players to do this. So you could also just keep it very simple and have like set combos with names so that everyone is on the same page.
If you expect ad here, you're right. This video is sponsored by you, viewers of this channel. You watching my content make it possible to get incredible guests like this one to teach you how to play better CS. So to make this channel grow, all I ask is to hit the subscribe button, and I promise that I will be able to create better videos with better quality. Thank you for being part of this journey. Now let's continue. Right, when you're doing, for example, this monster hit, so if it's possible, would you like to have one or two guys splitting from short, or preferably you would have everyone monster? What is your take on that? You want always to go for a split, right? If possible.
Yeah, my go-to is usually like if we're 5 alive, you can afford to have more of a like lurker, in this case from short. But if you're only 4 alive and you can go majority monster, if now short is clear, I would usually prefer this because you will have a higher like trade potential from monster by just going here. And it's already hard enough to like hold B just knowing that short is a possibility as well. So
Okay.
at least in my preference, I would say always like majority here, and like avoid this if you're not 5 alive and 5B.
I also have a weird experience that whenever we do short pop, everyone just flashes and goes forward. But in reality, there should be some kind of a role where first guy is, let's say, scaling up to the right, second guy scaling to the right as well and following him, and then third guy being a trader. Can you explain that the role of a trader? What does he have to do and how he has to position himself to find some impact?
Usually on most executes on all maps, I think you want like third or the fourth guy depending on the exec. In this case, it's gonna be the third to just you kind of just listen to the sound cues and the info that you get. You basically cover your mates as they're running up. So in this case, like going with the nades, if we say you use this flash for an example, you don't really get blind here, right? So by running up short, you're always gonna be vulnerable to this guy peeking as the first or the second guy, and it can be kind of hard to kill this guy as well, just peeking you. So then having a trader which is also like covering this, but also is ready to go out instant trade everything, will basically just like higher your chance of, obviously like just killing the CTs. Because if you then have 3 people just running all the time, it might be hard to get the trades, and maybe the second guy in wood, he maybe kills 2 when he shouldn't, and then you will obviously lose the round if you don't get the trades in your favor. So just trying to always like optimize the third or the fourth guy to just get the kill, get the trade like as easy as possible without getting like multi-kills. I'd say that's probably the way you want to put it.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And that trader is basically a security kind of thing for multi-kills, just as you said. You pretty much nailed it with the explanation there. So I think for B side that's pretty comprehensive already. If you do have anything, we can come back to this later. But let's fork it out back from that connector, which you said is the most important part, into the A side, because here is going to be, some teams have this as a kind of a ghost town, and they prefer to go B, take short, and maximum 1 lurker is around these positions. And then some teams usually prefer to play heavy here. So there's a lot of ways how you can take on this part of the map safely and both risky way. CTs can fight for this pretty well as well. So it almost feels like there's so many different takes around this mid. What is your take on it? What would you like to do in a team? What is your like importance of this middle?
Yeah, I'd say like this middle, like especially like this area is maybe not the most important for me, like to like clear with numbers, because like the effect that you're gonna get by taking con, if we just like go back to the place where maybe you get a flash here, like I said before, and you molo, it basically eliminates this angle, it eliminates this angle, and these angles are now like also something you eliminate. So by taking con, you gain space in mid, and it basically means you don't need as many players to like clear this. And I think if you are taking con, the only reason that you would wanna like go out here and actually like have numbers here is if you wanna go A and execute banana, or like work banana more or less. I think there's no other reason for you to be many here otherwise. Even if you get con, you still need to like clear it, because people can still have like the AWPer, for example, peeking like left and right on timing, and if you don't punish this, it can also be an issue, because obviously mid will be full clear, and then if you have a guy maybe jumping long as a CT, you will also know ace clear. So even though you get the space, you obviously still need to walk out every once in a while to make sure that nobody is like having this info.
Right. Is there any kind of takes that you love to do, and how you counter the usual utility that CTs are throwing, you know, the deep smoke and the deep molly? That will rarely happen in Face It, that CTs will throw a smoke right here next to the fountain and then molly playground behind you. But in higher elo, that is pretty much something that everyone is throwing to disrupt the default. Do you just wait it out, or do you challenge it sometimes? Do you go through? How is your approach? Let's for the sake of argument, let's say this is a full buy against full buy, and you know that you're playing against an op. Because then I will ask you how to approach this part of the map if you know cities do not have an op.
I'd say like how, at least in my opinion, like this combo, like what it does basically is the molo makes you want to use a smoke, right? So it's also for that fact that you want to bait out nades from T's, because if they have too many smokes, you will be more open to like fakes later in the round, or they can take space with the smokes, right? So like this is, I think, mainly for the TCS using a smoke, and this is for like slowing us down in reality, yeah. But I think in CS2, when you can nuke the smokes, I think this is one of the ways you can just clear it, and you can choose to walk through it insta. You can choose to also just like walk through the right side anti, because I think sometimes people might also do the flash peeks. So I think you need to switch up, like whether you play fast or if you play slower on the smoke, so you can be a bit like unpredictable. You could also take the animal way of just rushing a fountain with like one or two of these flashes and just like swinging this. I think that's my like go-to ways of like handling these nades. You can also take it on the other side, that you can also play fast from playground, and you can use like a molo from there, or for there, or you can use like a flash to rush and peak party. In general, especially like I said, when you lose con, you don't really want to stay here too much, so you can play a bit fast here sometimes as a T.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like CTs not having an op, it's, for example, what is eliminated in a way is that no op can really search you long, right? Which makes it a lot more freer to take space, like from this side. You don't really need to care for an op holding like an off angle or like searching you. So you can play faster in playground. You can also be more free to like do this jump, which I think is also very common to do. Obviously, like you can dry out more of the angles. It can be that you dry here, or that you can also just like swing long. I think that's probably what people do the most in tier 1 versus no ops.
Okay. Okay, let's move away from middle closer to the A side. Once you establish that map control, with probably using a couple of nades and smoking into, let's say, toilets, and then mollying banana, just like you explained before. How do we approach the site? Some people I've seen that they are using this lurk smoke next to, right, like underneath you. Yeah, that one, some teams love to use it, some teams hate to use it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not sure if Heroic, if you guys are using it at all, and to what extent, but can you explain why it's sometimes annoying to play against that, or why it's good to use it, and how effective can it be?
Back to again, like when you get con and mid, you basically eliminate this. As a CT, you want to back off to site usually, or you want to play closer to the toilets. And I think what this smoke essentially does is it takes away the info on banana, so that you can come up as close as possible on A. So you basically force cities to make like one of three decisions, and it's like one to play just all in here, which can truly punish you by doing this, because if people search you, it's a very unfavorable duel to take sometimes. It depends a bit. Like if you have an AK here, then you obviously have Shadow, Angle, and AK, so it's maybe not it might not be that risky, but you know, if people peek you like this, you will essentially get traded. Or like the second option, it will be that you do flash peeks, and you can also punish people by that, by just playing anti and peeking after. And the third option is to just leave it and give up the space. And for T's, either of these three decisions that cities can make, it will give you something to like play on, either if it's space or if it's info. And I think that's something that people are just abusing a bit with this smoke, that they try to predict what the other team is gonna do, and then they try to punish this.
Right. Okay. And what about some finishes? Once you establish all that map control, we spoke about some on B side. You probably have some variations towards A side, whether you come majority banana, maybe majority toilets in some cases, and then obviously we cannot neglect long, because a lot of long executes were happening in EPL that I've seen recently. So we got to touch upon that as well.
For me, like comparing the B site and the A site one has to be, it is a lot more like complicated for especially for less experienced players. So generally you maybe want to have it more set on A than you have it on B. There's a lot of AWP angles that you want to eliminate as well, so you also have to use the right flashes. And I think the go-to will always be to smoke stairs, and I basically just go like in the middle and aim next to this thing. And you need to have one guy smoking stairs. You need to also, if you have a Molotov, it's always going to help you to do the truck Molotov. And I basically just like go in here and aim here. It will eliminate like playing behind this. I think one flash that a lot of like lower tiered player are neglecting is like the flash over toilets, so that you remove not only like this angle, but also like the AWP angle banana. And what I like personally is that the AWP always just goes and locks this on the flash while people are like scaling. If I would choose to go to banana, I would always choose the like smoke here and the Molotov. And this would be one of the entries who does this. And then the AWP can have like flashes, and you can do the flash over, and then as the T's are up on the right side, then the AWPer goes and flashes this. And the reason why you basically want to have the AWPer like holding this is for the repeak, right? So that when people are like scaling, it's very hard to kill the AWPer peeking you. And then when you're up here, you're kinda in safety, because if the AWPer would search you all the way here, he would be in a lot of danger. So that's why you can like leave it after and just like use a flash. I preferably want to have like as many people banana as possible, but it obviously depends a bit on like, do you know where the A player is, the rifler then, not the AWPer, and have you cleared toilets or not? If you have cleared toilets, I think it makes more sense to go all banana, because it can sometimes be a bit hard to like get out of here. But you could also have this guy as a trader, as we talked about on the B sites. That you don't really want to peek from here too early. You maybe want to peek like this this angle when people are actually like up here, because then if you die now, you're already up on the site. In some cases you can also have like a guy long just trying to get as close as possible and like peeking on the other guys.
Okay, so in this case, we're again talking about split. Similarly to what you said around Monster, if you have 5 guys towards B, you're completely fine with one guy coming from short, for example. Is that the same sentiment here? If you're, let's say, going 5 guys towards A, you're completely fine with one guy splitting from long and then 3 guys scaling up banana, while one guy is probably the AWPer who's going to do these late flashes.
Yeah, exactly. You can make it simple and just do it every time, like split up, so you have one guy long or toilets. Or you can make it a bit more adaptive if you're like a more experienced player, of course. But it all truly depends. But it can also be like for the better teams, it can be all also about like switching up. You know, that maybe in the last 2 games you have had people more long, then maybe you want to just be unpredictable and switch it up. You know, I think there's a lot of like layers to it. When you want to do it, and you know how often you want to do it as well. But I think like if you want to keep it simple, you can always have it if you want it.
Okay, what about that long execute? Is that something that you like to use? And I've seen it, it's pretty effective, but the nades from here can be a little bit tricky because people... I've seen a lot. Let's say I've seen a lot of people in Face It fail nades from long because whatever is happening, no one is learning these. So let's talk about long a bit.
Usually, what is the best, in my opinion, if you do a long execute, is that you have one guy lurking toilets and one guy lurking banana. I think that's something that VP is very good at. For example, I think they are doing it, and it was also like a very effective thing in Go. And how it works basically is that you have this combo from, I use this lineup at least, that you go on the left side of this thing and you're aiming. It doesn't really matter like in what height you aim, but you aim on this left wood thing, and then you shift throw on this corner for the truck Molotov. And you have this combo from here, but then you can also throw the bank smoke from here, so that you do all nades from long, and you basically make it look like you're gonna come majority long, and then you just have like two riflers kind of listening on, playing on sound, and like kind of flanking, so you can kind of see it as an A crunch in a way. And in some cases you can also, it was a while since I threw this now, but I think it's like this, more right side. Yeah, you basically just like you go on the same spot you did the bank smoke, and you aim here. And you can like Molotov sight, so you can eliminate the whole of sight, and the only positions where people can play is like here, here, and close banana. So if you wait a bit before going banana and toilets, you can basically like crunch with this utility. And I think that's why the long executes is so effective, because you're essentially just getting sandwiched on A. And the flashes, I think you can... Some people use these ones and then one behind. Me personally, I just like to have two behind. And I think that's a bit of a preference. Also maybe has to do with if you do this Molotov or not. Because if you don't do the sight Molotov, this flash is not gonna take you. So I think that is something that you can kind of just keep in the back of your mind, like what nades you throw, what flashes you need to have.
Okay, that's pretty in depth, I would say, the way how to take A side couple of ways. So thank you for that. But once you actually get a bomb plant on A side, I do remember when I was still playing in a tier 1 team, there were some, I would say, hidden rules that you want to do and you want to avoid to do. So I wonder if you agree with them, or maybe you have some of these rules in your own team. For example, a lot of the times you obviously will plant for default, and then it allows you to play retake from further away, banana, toilets, even from long. But as soon as you, let's say, are forced to plant truck, you have to kind of fight for the site, right? You cannot play these long range after plants anymore. And I was wondering if you agree with that, and if you do have some of these rules yourself on this map, because a lot of post plans are, let's say, screwed up on this map because of the bomb plant, where you plant it, and how you position yourself for the after plant. So let's talk about that. What's your take on it?
If you have the smoke here, or sorry, the bomb plant here, you obviously can't play like sandwich, right? Or if you do have a guy here, the rest of the team needs to be close. It is like the more hidden the bomb plant is, the closer you have to be to it, and I think that goes for every map. But I think like you said, like if you have the plant like here, at one point you can also just as an AWPer like sit here and hold the peaks, and as a rifler you can also just like jump spot, you can jiggle and be super annoying, and it's very hard like for cities to like defuse the bomb when that happens. But I think there's also ways where you can get like punished by playing further back. If the cities have smokes to like smoke toilets and here, then it completely changes, and it's super aids to play the after plant from here. So I think it goes a bit with how much nades you think the cities have. If you know that they have a lot of nades, you probably have to play closer, and it's more about the smokes than I'm talking about, and not whether you think they have 3 molos or not, because that's usually not going to happen. I usually on all maps think that if you plant earlier in the round, let's say you did like a fast A run where you get entries and you have an after plant, the chance of the CTs not having used their smokes yet is kind of high, right? But if you are playing the late rounds and maybe you walk up A at 30 seconds, the chance of the B players having a smoke left is very slim. That is something that's like you can then take the chance by just playing further back then, because the chance of them having a smoke is very slim. And sometimes you will also know that by counting the smokes. So I think that's probably the rules that I go by. But I would generally like try to avoid this plant if possible and plant here. And if people can flank you, then I think this plant is better and just like pushing CT.
This is super underrated. Especially on those long takes that we discussed, sometimes you manage to cross the site without clearing toilets and banana fully. Let's say your teammates were a little bit further away, and this allows you to plant for bank or CT and fight for that. And that is really, really hard for CTs to retake after. So that is actually a good point. Planting for bank is completely viable in a lot of situations when you come from long. What about AWPers? We didn't touch them too much, and you're obviously not an AWPer, but let's do. I want to give you like an interactive kind of question where I would ask, what do you value in your AWPer the most on T side? How can he help you be a better team? Because obviously this is not a map where he's gonna go for some crazy openings or peaks and high impact, early round plays. But he's going to be more of a supportive and methodical kind of piece into the puzzle. How do you want to activate your AWPer? How is he helpful on this map to you?
It's mostly like in the start of the rounds to like lock down angles for you and giving your riflers more space. So if you take an example where you want to A default, it helps you a lot if you can have the AWPer holding this, because then me, for example, who is in this situation a lot, I know I can have my knife up even and jump spots, right? Or I can play faster towards here and ask for a flash or just peek this angle in general without having to worry about the AWP search I mentioned earlier. If it's not about like locking angles, then I think you can also, there is some ways where it's really, really nice to have him make space for you. And on this map, it can be that you have this pathing where the AWPer goes here. Okay, this is clear. And you obviously need to have con for this. And then you drop, you hard clear toilets, you clear this. And then you right eye search this. And at this point, you can also boost. And if your AWPer has done this, he has basically cleared sandwich for you, he has cleared the AWP angle for you, he has cleared banana for you, and now you can also try to even find an entry on the guy on A site jumping. That is something that I like on A at least to have the AWPer do. I think you also need to obviously give your AWPers a bit of space to do early moves, so I think one move that probably every AWPer in the whole of CS have is like this A peek. Whether it's slow or fast, I think that's a bit different AWPer to AWPer. But this can also obviously like give you an entry instead of just giving you space, and it can also be that you basically just have him run and hold the jump as well. So I think if you have a mix of all this, then you're gonna get the most out of your AWPer. But if you're kind of neglecting some of that, maybe you don't let him find entries for you, or maybe he's trying to take too much entries for you, it's gonna be like a rough balance. So I really appreciate when an AWPer like understands this. The more space he takes from the team, not only from me as an IGL, but also from the riflers, the harder it will be. So if you can learn to like balance that, that's something that I appreciate at least.
Okay, completely agree with all the points that you stated, and I've seen it in most of the tier 1 AWPers that they take these kind of balanced approaches. Speaking of copying something from pro players, how do you see this map currently played in tier 1 when it comes to competition? What teams do you like watching, or do you think are good to watch if you want to learn this map playing well, besides heroic obviously? But you already mentioned VP, that you like how they play a certain part of the map, especially around these A splits. And maybe VP isn't on the radar that much right now because they've been struggling a little bit, and it's quite a nice take. Maybe you have some even tier 2 teams that you think are playing well against you in practice on this specific map. You have any for example, methodical teams that are good to watch?
I mentioned VP is one that I like. I really like how Flit plays con. That's something you can always check. Like if you want a good con player to check Flit. They obviously have been struggling more as a team recently, but you can even check like games from a couple of months ago. Or like 2 months ago or one. I think also another team on the T side which I like now is also like Vitality. I think they weren't that good on the map like before. They were not better than other tier 1 teams, but I think obviously now with the level they have shown like this year, they also improved like their level on this map, and I think they have a lot of nice like very like simple calls. I watch a lot of like how Apex calls with, you know, taking timings on A or just baiting with nades and stuff. So Vitality is for sure one to like check. Like it's not a team that plays now, but I liked a lot how like Complexity played. Now they're obviously like Passion UA, but I think JT has some really nice like nades that we took from him. For example, I think it's like a combo that we did, you know, that he did. That is something similar to this.
Oh, okay.
Which it's supposed to land here.
As a lurk smoke, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And they also just have a lot of like innovative stuff, which I think like on this map you have endless possibilities, and it can be a bit hard to like mask it as a team or as an IGL at some point if you have too much stuff. But if you are always like switching around what you're doing, it's still kind of hard to read. So I think you can check. Like what's nice about Overpass compared to other maps is you can check any team and steal anything as long as you don't repeat it too much. Basically, that's a bit how I see it, because it's really hard to fake every single default and move that you have on this map.
Okay. From my side, I think that's everything. This was really nice and in-depth talk, and I think we covered pretty much every single important point on the map. But in case we don't, is there something that you would like to say about this map, or any general takeaways that you wish our listeners will just embed in their brains, so whenever they queue with you on Faceit, they will know it and you will not lose your mind?
No, I mean I think it's just the most important things to like know the nades. Like it is a bit similar to Inferno in the way that it is a lot about your nades. Like obviously it's not as heavy nade map as Inferno, but it is very hard if you're playing without, for example, a short mol, or if you don't know how to do the con nades, or if you don't know how to execute A, for example. So I think my biggest tip is just learn as much nades as possible and just know them for every situation that you're in.
Perfect. All right. Thank you for this. I agree that this is probably one of the most nade heavy map in the pool, and the lineups itself are not that straightforward because the map is new. The you know, textures changed. The corners changed a little bit as well, and a lot of failed nades that I've seen are costing teams some important rounds. So I do agree with this, and Linus, thank you for giving us this tour on this beautiful map. And yeah, I wish you good luck and see some nice results with your team.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching until the end. If you have a player you would like to see in this series, please share with me in the comments. I will do my best to reach out, and in the meantime, see you in another video. Bye-bye. Shout out to you, all of my Patreons and Coffee members, for your continual support. It allows me to create more content like this. Your name is on the screen right now as a little token of appreciation. I used Coffee for years, where you can find extra content and perks at various tiers of membership, but due to popular demand, I set up Patreon too. Nothing changes, both platforms are treated equally, with same content, just for your convenience to use whichever side you prefer. Thank you for making my videos better and possible.